You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good Wednesday morning, everybody. I am Glenn the Geek in Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Jamie Jennings from Norman, Oklahoma, or in Norman, Oklahoma. You're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Wednesday, July 2nd, episode 3724, brought to you by Poseidon Animal Health. Good morning, horse people.
Ah, Wednesday, the day we cover Glenn's favorite topic, horse health. And Jamie makes you feel better about yourself with the latest weird news from around the world.
Let's go!
Happy Wednesday!
Let's go!
So let me tell you what Jamie did to me this morning.
Uh-oh, what did I do?
So this morning, I think she takes a peek at the show notes. She tells me she doesn't, but I swear when she woke up this morning, she was like, oh, let's just see who the guest is. And then she saw we had a guest on who's very intelligent and very smart, talking about screwworm, which I've been trying to get a guest talking about screwworm, and I found the expert on screwworms. And Jamie looked at that and went, oh, let's leave Glenn with the
It's not true at all.
Because he'll be grossed out the entire time, and he'll just want to quit after this, and I'm just going to let him do it. So then she texts me and says, what time's our guest? I have the vet here. Which she knows I don't argue. I can't argue about the vet being there because, when the vet's there, it's never good.
Best job ever.
And then I end up doing the screwworm interview all by myself, being totally grossed out about this worm that eats you till you disintegrate. And then she comes on after, all delightful and happy.
I will tell you that I did not do that on purpose, but if I had looked at it, I would have done that on purpose.
Because you always do the health ones, and especially when they're gross like this. Oh, God. Well, anyway, I did the interview, and you're going to hear that a little bit later, talking about screwworms, and I highly advise you not to be eating lunch. Let's just
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear it.
Something else trying to kill our horses, like we don't have enough. Our vet was out this morning, too, looking at James, because he has sticky stifles. And apparently,
time
Jennifer
to rock her the toe and find some hills.
Jennifer kind of thinks it's just growing up. He's at that age where things are starting to grow faster than other things. Anyway, you had a fire truck adventure that we're going to talk about. Plus, we have some mighty weird news. And also, we have an auditor highlight today with Ariel Wolfe of Michigan is going to join us. She's one of our terrific auditors. But before we get to all of that, do you ever watch the Graham Norton show?
I see clips of it. It's funny. I like it.
You don't like it?
No, I do like it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Graham Norton, I think, is one of the funniest talk show hosts. It's not really a talk show either. I mean, they all sit on the couch and all talk to each other. It's completely different than any others. But it's out of England.
Drinking, it's fun. Yeah.
He's kind of the Johnny Carson of England. He's very well known. His show is a huge hit. He gets the biggest stars. How he pays them, I don't know, because he'll have like 4 of the biggest stars on the couch the same day. And you go...
He doesn't pay them.
They get some kind of rate. I don't know what it is, but he couldn't afford to pay him a lot because he always gets A-list
usually
stars.
They're on a media. They're promoting something. So as actually if you people would call it, we'd get people that wanted us to interview people on the radio because they were promoting something. I mean, how many people write a book and contact us and want to do an interview? So
that's true. I always thought they got day rate or something, but he gets the stars, and it's very funny. If you go onto YouTube and just look up Graham Norton, they're excellent at putting collections together of these guests, and they're very funny. Anyway, we often talk about actors, that ride on set. They have to ride horses on set, and they fall in love with their horses, and then they buy them. We've talked about that several times. Well, then there are the actors who don't feel that way about horses. So yesterday I was watching Graham Norton, and he had Meryl Streep on. Meryl Streep always has that kind of deer in the headlights look that she never quite knows what you're talking about. She's just funny that way. But anyway, Hugh Grant was also on, the actor. And they were talking about this is what the conversation was. The conversation was, as actors, they get to do some really fun stuff that you would never get to do in life, right? You get to jump out of buildings. You get to do some, you get trained in martial arts. You get to do all these things that are fantasy that you would never get to do in real life. And then Hugh said this, so I'm going to play it.
He's so negative, this guy.
Yes, he is. He's a grumpy Gus. Let me play it, though.
Oh, she can. A couple of drinks. Out they come.
It's extraordinary. You learn, actors go to all the bother of learning these things, then it's gone.
But it's fantastic to be able to, don't you?
It's one of the real perks of the job.
Yeah.
Things that you never would even consider. Yeah.
You also learn what you never want to do again. Like riding a horse. What's all that about? I've never been so miserable as when I had to ride a bloody horse. I was a highwayman. A really bad one. I was... When I'm very self-conscious in a role, my voice goes very high. And I remember I had to leap out of bushes and say, "Stand and deliver!" And I was always on this horse. And I think with horses, they stop very suddenly, and it's very uncomfortable for a gentleman. Splits your cluster.
I've never heard that term before. It splits your cluster.
I was watching this with Jennifer, and I said, he's kind of like that uncle that you have. He kind of just reminds me of the drunken uncle, at the party.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's something else. He's
He's
funny in a very dry, negative kind of way.
If I saw him on the street, I would not approach him for a photo.
Oh, no. You wouldn't ask him. No.
He scares me.
Apparently, horses scare him. So there you go.
Oh, he's probably scared of me then. Boom.
All right, let's do some Daily Whinnies.
Splits the cluster.
Happy birthday to Aaron Rodgers and Amanda Coro. Happy birthday to both of you. And we have some new auditors, Jamie. Dawn and Susan joined up this week. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for your support, and we're glad you're here. Now search for HRN Auditors on Facebook, and you can join the fun in there.
My Daily Whinnie goes to Fire Station 17 in Oklahoma City. I just had what was a tremendously bad day turned to a great day yesterday. So you never know what's going to happen in your day. But I got up really early and rode, and then I'm going to be out of town next week. And I realized that Homer's chemo it's every other Tuesday, and it's next week. So I rode, and then I came in the house, and I was like, oh my God. So I called the vet clinic. I'm like, okay, I can't come next week. Do we skip a week? Do I come end of this week? And they put me on the phone with the vet. She was like, if you can come now, we can get him in today.
Well, they're not going to lose their week of charging.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, and also I don't want to lose a week of chemo. So yeah. I was like, okay, but it's an hour away. So I have to drive to North Oklahoma City, and I'm in Southeast Norman. So it's about an hour drive, and I have to drop him off, and they do him during the day, and then they just call you when they're done. Well, unfortunately, I'm driving home, and then they call me when I get home, drive all the way. So I always just stay up in Oklahoma City and find stuff to do. So yesterday I dropped Homer off, and I'm just sitting in a restaurant by myself. I was like that person in the booth in the back,
looking at their phone,
going, oh my God, nobody noticed me, please. So I get a phone call.
I am married. I have kids. I'm happy. I have horses.
I don't wear a wedding ring, and I just ridden, so I look like a homeless person. Okay, so
somebody offered to buy your lunch.
I had crap on my shirt, my hair. I've been wearing a helmet because I just had to run out of the house with Homer and take him to the vet. So I'm sitting in the back booth, and I get a phone call from a guy named Matt who took my clinic last year. He's the one that owns the racehorses. They're fantastic people. Yeah. And he's a firefighter. And so he called and he was like, hey, I was just calling. Sorry to bother you. I'm like, you're not bothering me. I'm sitting in a booth by myself. I have nothing to do right now. And so he was asking me about pulsing the horses, and he's got his race horses on summer break, and they're at home. And I said, oh, well, yeah, I'll figure it out. Homer's at chemo now, so it'll be a couple weeks. And he was like, are you just here in the city? I said, yeah, I'm And he's like, well, check out where we are. You might be close. He was 2 miles from me. His fire station was 2 miles and he was on shift. And he was like, just come over, come out and see the fire station and whatever. So I'm like, but that's awesome. So I get there and I get the full tour of the fire station. I felt like a little kid, like, and here's where we keep the hoses and here's where we do this.
I don't care how old you are, right? It's fascinating.
Right? I was like, I'm like swooning over this truck that was so cool.
So shiny.
I'm like, how many gallons does it hold? This one told 700 gallons. And then the other one, and it gets 1 mile to the gallon. 1 mile to the gallon. On the other one, I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. So then I go in and he's like, just hang out until your vet calls, because I'm 2 miles from the vet. So they get a call.
Oh, no.
And I'd already met the fire chief, the guy in charge, and like a couple other people. And they're like, we got to call.
This
and they
must
start
be a professional
running.
department then, right? Their paid department, as opposed to
yeah,
volunteer.
Oh, yeah. No, this is not volunteer. These people, this is they're in Oklahoma City. That's the thing. Okay. So they all start running out to the truck, and the chief goes, get in. And I was like, what? So I hop in this fire truck in like the fold down seat, like in the back. And I hop in there and they're all gearing up. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I did video it, but I just told them I would share. And I was like watching all these guys get geared up. And there's a girl firefighter, a woman, and then the guys, and they're all pulling on their gear and they're suiting up as Matt is driving on like the wrong side of the road, drive the sirens and the horn and everything is going, and we're flying around. And it just feels like he's going to tip over, but he's driving and he veers into the oncoming traffic and he's looping through there. It was insane. It was so crazy. I was like, I can't imagine doing this for a job, because the level of anxiety and stress that and you don't really know, like, all
and you weren't driving.
I was in the back, and I'm in the back, and there was like all the sirens and everything was crazy, and they're like, go, go, go. And all they know is dispatch told them it was a medical emergency and where it was. And so they're all paramedics and EMTs too, right? So they swarm they get to this place, and it's sirens blowing and they pull in and people are pulling over and getting out of the way. And we get there. I will tell you that at one point, Matt goes, wow, this is some real hero stuff.
Okay, please tell me there was a cat stuck in a tree. Please tell me it was a cat stuck in a tree.
I asked him about that, and he said that happens. Oh, no. This one was a blood drive, and somebody fainted from giving blood. That's it.
They call the paramedics for that? I thought that happened all the time.
Somebody called 911 because somebody didn't drink their orange juice after giving blood. We get there. There's already ambulances there, and they were like, you're fine. They have a little signal to tell them, keep going. Don't even worry about it. So, like, then we have to do a 27-point turn to get out of this parking lot in this fire truck. It was the craziest thing. And he was like, wow, that's some real hero stuff. Cool.
But at least you got to go in the fire truck.
It was awesome. I'm like, are you kidding me, Matt? This is like the coolest thing I've ever done. And I was just sitting alone at a restaurant, like by myself in the back booth, trying not to get noticed. Looking like a homeless person.
I mean, look at it this way. Your husband never took you to work and took you flying in one of his fancy F-16 jets.
I never got to go in the air. You're right.
No,
You're right.
This guy takes you out in the fire truck, but your husband never took you up.
I know. I sent him the video,
and
I was like,
is he?
Because he called me and he's like, I can't find my wallet. I'm like, sorry, can't talk. And I sent him the video of me in the back of it, and he's like, all he knows is I went to the vet. He's like, why is she in the back of a fire truck? I'll text you the video, Glenn.
Okay, that's funny.
I'm like, sorry, can't talk right now. I'm on a call.
Chad's like, oh my God, my wife. How do you think Chad describes you to his friends?
I don't know, but I will. I don't know.
On the golf course,
imagine.
when somebody says, "Are you married?" What's your wife like?
I will tell you that I'm in the back of the fire truck, and they're like, "Oh, she's the one that trained all the horses," and they're like, "Oh, you train horses?" And Matt turns around and goes, "Her husband was a fighter pilot." And then all the questions just are surrounded. Oh, really? Did you ever get to fly in the F-16? Did you ever? What does he do? Like,
cares about horses.
Yeah, nobody cares about horses. They just want to talk about F-16s. So I have no street cred.
To be honest, I was the same way when I came out the first time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, nobody cares about me. It's fine. I'm happy with that because I'll talk crap about you on my radio show.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was awesome. So Fire Truck Adventure, Fire Station 17, doing God's work. But I will tell you that the level of like these people that do this for a living, they just care about other people so much. Like, I don't think I could do that job because I really care about horses. Like, I care about dogs. I care about horses. I care about all those things. I just care less about humans. So fortunately, there's people to fill those gaps.
Well, somebody has to care for both sets, right?
Yeah, exactly.
My brother's
exactly.
a volunteer firefighter. He's like assistant chief or something at his station. So he's been doing this for years and years and years and years. And anytime you talk to him, he tells you about the calls, that he gets.
It's so admirable. Like, and just the fact that we got beat there by the ambulance, and they're already on scene, taking charge, taking care of everything. But I did ask him, I was like, so what are some of y'all's weirdest calls? Like what has some... This is the chief telling me all this. And he's like, well, and I was like, do people really call for cats and trees? And they were like, yes, that is a thing. I go, well, what are some of the other weird ones? And he was like, I got called out because somebody's toe hurt. I was like, excuse me, a toe? Yes, their toe hurt. And I had to go. It's like, oh my God, what? Like crazy. But then there was like, they told me lots of stories that are not appropriate for this podcast, but just know that there are people that are heroes. And if you are ever around a fire station, just bring them some food because they actually every morning they work from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. the next day. And every morning they each pitch in $10 for food. So just for food for the 24
I thought
hours.
That was provided by the...
No, they said to people like I walked into the kitchen, there's a bunch of muffins and some donuts.
About how good the cooks are at fire departments, right? How good.
Well, that's because they have a full kitchen, but they pay for the food themselves. So I was like, I'm going to send you guys pizza. Like I'm going to, or whatever. And they had a gym and beds and
Did they
offices.
Have a pole?
No, there's no pole. One story. I really wish there was a
I know.
pole.
I wanted to hear that you went down the pole.
I did not go down the pole. That's more of like a city fire station thing. I was like, do you guys have one of those trucks where you drive in the back? They were like, no, those are for like New York City where the roads are real narrow.
You probably asked every inane question they get all the time.
I'm sure I did. But oh my
Do you
God,
know
God
who
love the firefighters.
the ultimate of this are rescue people? We've been on a binge watching on YouTube Coast Guard Alaska. Did you ever watch that?
No.
Those guys.
That sounds water rescues, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of water rescues. The swimmers go down in the water and there's ice and it's freezing cold and they have to strap you up. They hoist you up 100 feet into the helicopter, which is bouncing around in 90-mile-an-hour winds. Those guys are nuts. I mean, they're truly adrenaline junkies, but it's a great show if you want to watch it. It's well done.
Well, you mentioned shows and it reminded me that I guess their cable broke and so they had to get a new Fire Stick and they lost all the shows that they had recorded onto their cable box. And I was like, well, what is it that you lost? Like, what do you record? Because they're sitting down trying to find stuff to record.
It's silly, like Housewives.
No, he was like, you have to watch the show, the first 48, I think is what it's called. The first 24, first 48. And it's like when a crime happens, what happens in the first 24, 48 hours? And I was like, oh my God, you might as well watch Blue Bloods, Grandpa. Jesus.
Don't pick on Blue Bloods. I watched every year of that.
Oh God. Oh, that's all my mom watched. And I always sit and watch episode, sit with her in the hospital and just watch episode
we're kind of the Tom
of Blue
Selleck
Bloods.
age, you know?
Yeah. He's so handsome. He's so handsome.
He was the heartthrob of heartthrobs years ago. He was it.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of an actor who buys horses, there you
go.
It's full circle.
Well, as a horse owner, you know the joy of seeing your equine partner thrive, but travel, competition, and daily life can take a toll. That's why Poseidon Animal Health offers veterinarian-formulated supplements to support your horse's well-being. Stress Pace provides targeted support during the times of acute stress, while Digestive HP is your daily gut health foundation, supporting the entire GI tract from stomach to hindgut. Trusted by vets and elite athlete riders alike, Poseidon Animal Health puts your horse's health first. Discover the difference at PoseidonAnimalHealth.com. And I know Jamie uses both of those products all the time with her transient horses that come in and out. Should we call them transient? I know you had a vet. What was going on with anything? Nothing major? I kidded you, but the vet was actually there. So.
Yeah, the vet was actually here. So no, Groot has trouble keeping his left lead canter behind without cross cantering. And so whenever I have some sort of things like that, I like to get the osteopath out and she works on them and she's amazing. But of course, like when the horses know the vet comes, like somebody's like, I'll do something. I'll get hurt. So the first thing we dealt with was
today and puncture myself.
Remember that when you're looking at your horse and you're like, oh my God, his leg is broken. It's usually an abscess.
Yep.
So like Miles, who is my princess Andalusian, who everything is the worst thing ever. He's so dramatic. He's like 3-legged and he walked up slow yesterday. And I was like, there's something, but I didn't find anything. This morning he had a huge pulse and he's like 3-legged lame. And I was like, well, it's a good thing the vet's on her way. So when she got here, we were supposed to do Groot. And I was like, while you're here, can you please look at this horse? And so we ended up wrapping him, bandaging him, wasn't ready to come out. So that's the best news. But she was like, is he
abscesses
dramatic?
Do make them look like they're dead. They're going to die any minute.
She was like, is he like dramatic? I was like, oh, he's a princess. Like if he has a boo-boo, he will tell you he has a boo-boo.
You have the wimpiest Andalusian in the history of Andalusians.
Oh my God. And
they were war
her,
horses, for God's sake.
His genetics are bullfighting lineage. Okay. I mean,
he would have gotten in there, the bull would have come out, and he'd have been gone.
Yeah. There's like every family has that one crazy person, and if they don't, then it's you.
Yes.
Like he's the one. He's the special one. He's the one that requires a helmet.
You really knew. You need to contact Guinness because I think he would be the weirdest Andalusian in the history of Andalusians.
Oh, bless him. I love him to pieces. He's so fun. I do love him.
We've all had that 3-legged lame horse, though, that won't put any weight on it, and you're thinking, oh, it broke his leg. And Jennifer always says the worse it looks, the less serious it is.
Yeah.
And it's always an abscess. it's always an abscess.
You're like, yay, it's an abscess.
Yes. Half their foot's rotted off. But you know what? That's fine. We're good with that. It's nothing for in a bone. You're happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're going to get to our guest. Speaking of gross, that's what's coming up. And I wanted to mention her. She's at a conference in Texas someplace, and I had her on the cell phone, and we were getting some static or something, but you can hear her just fine. There's just a little bit of static or whatever in the background, but she's the expert at screwworms. So we're going to find out what they are and why we should be worried or maybe not. Well, this Horse Health Report is brought to you by Daily Dose Equine, non-GMO core nutrition for horses and ponies of all ages. And we have a guest on that I'm excited to have the guest on. I am not excited about the topic today. We've been doing health reports for 15 years every Wednesday, and this is the one I think I'm least excited about, to be honest with you, Dr. Swiger. So Dr. Swiger is a professor at the Department of Entomology at Texas A&M, and we've been saying for weeks we have to get somebody on to talk about New World Screwworm, which just sounds delightful, Dr. Swiger. It really does.
Yes.
This is your life, your job here is studying things like this, but we've been hearing a lot about it lately, even from the USEF, and of course, they stopped imports of animals from Mexico for a while. We'll talk about that in a little bit, too. But why? Why the big... I had never heard of screwworm. So why the big fuss over it?
Yeah, well, the screwworm itself, this one in particular, the New World Screwworm, is a blowfly species that will lay eggs on living animals. So if an animal has a wound, or even if they don't, and they have mucous membranes that are exposed and the fly finds it tasty, they'll put those eggs on there and then the larva will eat it, which of course is never a great situation because being consumed alive by fly larvae is not usually on anybody's to-do list.
Does it go from that point out? Is that what happens? It just disintegrates the flesh?
So it just, I mean, the larvae just start consuming the flesh of that animal. And then eventually, if they're not tended to, those larvae will get into vital organs or probably cause a shock to the system of that animal. And then they'll succumb to that infestation. So
we had a cat that was bitten by a brown recluse spider. And I got to tell you, that was gross because basically the whole leg disintegrated.
Yes.
Quickly.
Yeah. And from what I hear, these can be really bad in that, the wound gets really nasty and, it's got fly larvae in it, and larva maggots, they actually have to digest that material by basically spitting digestive juices on it. So really disgusting, and it smells bad, right? So you get this festering wound and the tissue's breaking down, the larvae are feeding on it, all this bacteria. And, that's never a good situation. So it can get really gross really fast.
All right, I apologize to anybody eating lunch right now. So let's back up a little bit. Where are they now, and why are we so concerned about it at this point in time?
Yeah. So, we went through a process many years back. It's been over 40 years since they've been in the U.S., where we eradicated them from the United States and down through Mexico and through Central America. But now, as of the last couple of years, they have slowly moved beyond what we call the biological barrier, which is set forth at the Darien Gap in Panama. So now they're found in all of Central America again, up into the southern section of Mexico. So the most northwestern area has been reported as Oaxaca, and they have not moved since that location has been reported, which is a really good thing, but they are not supposed to be in Mexico, and they're not supposed to be in Central America. So
great. So, so obviously this country, even the government was concerned about them arriving here because I live in Florida. We always get the weirdest stuff, right? It always ends up in Florida for some reason. But how concerned are you?
I mean, I'm concerned enough that I'm glad we're talking about it. It is something we've always kind of looked into. So I'm actually originally from Florida too. So I grew up in that state, did education, learned about them in a textbook, and it was always like, we don't want them to come back because they were here a long time ago. So we've always been cognizant that they're out there. We do have obviously all these inspection stations set up for multiple things. And one of them was screwworms. It just wasn't talked about, right? But if you're bringing animals in, we check them for other things, and this is one of those things. So it's always been on the radar for some people, those that are entomologists, those that work at these inspection ports and things of that sort. But now it's a little bit more concerning because the opportunity is closer, and there's more of a concern of animals being brought in from different areas we may have not necessarily been checking as thoroughly because they didn't have the screwworm. So not having it eases our mind a little better. But so it does increase it some. I mean, we want to be aware. We want to make sure it doesn't show up, but it's not going to get here on its own right. That fly can't fly that far, but we do want to definitely have people aware that, hey, don't bring stuff in without it being looked at first.
Okay. Well, I do want to talk to you about, what do we look for? How do you prevent it? That kind of thing. But I did want to mention the Department of Agriculture stopped cattle, bison, equine, basically four-legged animals from coming in from Mexico for a period of time. Now I just saw 2 minutes before I called you that they're going to restart bringing animals in July the 7th. So is it safe to do that, or are they just...
It is. There are stipulations to it. So those animals that are going to be allowed to come in first can only come from Sonora or Chihuahua, the states in Mexico, and they can only go through the Arizona port to begin with. So they've set forth ports in which they'll open starting from Arizona, moving towards Texas. So New Mexico's ports will be next on the list, and then eventually Texas if everything goes smoothly and there's no issues. But the cattle have to right now have been born and bred and raised in those states in Sonora or Chihuahua or follow the New World Screwworm protocol. So there's still some restrictions, so to speak. They're not just letting mass entry. They do have to come from certain areas. And as they come towards Texas and start opening our ports, there's other limitations and restrictions they have to follow. They have to also come from particular areas in Mexico to be allowed in. So they are keeping a closer watch on it, I guess is the way to put it. And they're not just letting any animals through.
But how do they do that? I mean, do they run them through big fly spray machines before they come in? What are we doing to stop them from?
There are processes, and a lot of animals that do come in do go through treatment protocols. They have to be dipped in a lot of situations or treated with some type of an injectable based on the protocols. But they're also inspected by humans. I mean, really what it comes down to is they literally have to be looked at by a human being and checked all over. So, and it's something we've been doing in Texas for a long time for ticks. So we have a cattle fever tick. Whoa, my mouth is not going to work there. And we have stations set up that they come through those ports and they have to be inspected for ticks. So it'll be similar to what we've been doing here for that for many years.
Okay. So a couple of the obvious questions is how can you prevent them, and is there a treatment after the bad stuff starts?
Yeah. So right now, the best thing is to be educated. That's how you prevent it. You know what it is, you know what to look for, you know not to bring animals from an area that has them actively moving around. So all of South America still has them for the most part, and some Caribbean island countries have them as well. So if you bring animals from there, you should, they have to follow protocols of particular sorts to make sure that we don't bring any infested animals in. That's the top things we can do. When it comes to treatments per se, at this time, there's really nothing that you could put on that would be effective since the fly is not currently present. So, it's almost like waste of effort, and it's not healthy to be putting out chemicals for something we can't actually control.
So let's say, though, just a horse that in South America gets it. What is there a treatment, once it starts eating away?
So, what they do in South America will be very different when we do here in America. So I'm sure they have a process and they have products. One of the main things is wound care, because again, it's going to be a wound that will have maggots inside it. And since it starts off small, you want to be out there observing for those kind of situations. Then you treat the wound, you kill the larva, you make sure they all die and come out of that wound. And that's basically what treatment is. In the area where we do the sterile insect technique processing, which is what's happening in Mexico and what was going on in Panama, they'll also release those sterile males at the same time as doing all of the treatments for the animals to help get rid of those numbers. Now in South America, they don't have that program, so they just have to do wound care.
Okay, so that's what they're doing. That's one of the ways they're trying to slow them down, is the sterile treatment.
So the sterile male eradication program is the most effective way to get rid of them, and it is to eradicate them. And that's what we did back in the day. So back when we developed that in the United States, that's how we rid the United States of these flies, and Mexico and Central America. And that program is still in operation. It just runs out of Panama now.
It's interesting. One of our sister companies is Spalding Fly Predators. So it kind of reminds me of that, right? Where they're put out there to control the flies, in a little bit different way, but
yes.
Yeah. So the final question is, once a horse gets it, is it quick? Is it fast? I mean, is this a 3-month process where they're eating away, or is this go quick?
So everything I've read, because again, the last time it was in the U.S. was before I was born, is that if we don't treat and cure that animal within a week, they'll die. Oh, wow. So, and the main reason is more because where those larvae have been laid is a more of a vital location. It's not that the larva ate the entire animal, so to speak. Right. It's that it was in the head and it got to the brain, or it was in the belly and it got to the internal organs. So it causes the systems to shut down probably prior to the actual full consumption of said animal. But so yeah, they do need to be treated. You can't leave them. They will not survive an infestation. So it is a very severe situation.
Well, this has been a delightful topic. Do you have anything in the future we can talk about that's not so nasty? We can maybe have you back, because you're a great guest. It's just I love talking about bugs, Rich. I am a livestock medical entomologist, so I talk about all flies. I do mosquitoes. Anything that bites falls in my purview. So yeah, that's a special kind of job you have there.
It is, but it's super fascinating. So when I decided bugs are my thing, I was like, no, I don't like plants, but I do like these ones. So
you have written. The reason I found you is obviously you've written some papers and articles on this that have been published, and people can look. I'll put a link to your links in our show notes so that they can find you too, and the articles that you've done here. But we do appreciate you joining us, Dr. Swiger. Next time we'll have you on for a happier topic. Okay, maybe do you own any horses?
I do not personally own horses, but my neighbor does.
Well, next time you go riding horses on an adventure, we'll have you on, and that'll be a delightful topic we can talk about. Okay?
Yes. Yeah, that would be delightful. We can talk about horse flies. I know those are a problem. So, yeah, like I said, I got all the good ones.
You do. Thank you, Dr. Swiger. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Non-GMO whole food nutrition is the basis of the entire Daily Dose Equine program. We never forget that natural is better and simplicity is key. Daily Dose Equine uses non-GMO whole food ingredients like alfalfa, timothy, peas, sunflower seeds, and flax. Daily Dose Equine doesn't use fillers, bulking agents, or leftovers from other industries, so you can feed less yet improve body condition and energy. And our feeds are free from chemical residues and glyphosate. Find the perfect formulation for your horse at dailydoseequine.com. Select Daily Dose Equine formulations are available nationwide through chewy.com and tractorsupply.com.
Well, before we get to weird news, I just wanted to mention it is July 4th week, which means sales. Everybody's having a sale. Everybody's having a sale. And right now there's a coupon code for Spalding Fly Predators, and I know they're working here. We've gotten 2 batches now, and I think the third's been shipped. Have you gotten 3?
I got my third.
Yeah.
I got my third batch,
Okay.
and yeah, it's awesome.
Well,
It
they
really
have a
works.
coupon code. It's long. It's SL25 Summer, but I'll put that in the show notes right here so you can just scroll on your phone and you can click on Spalding Fly Labs and the coupon code and you'll get 15% off when you order now through the 4th of July. So you have a couple days left and you can say goodbye to flies this summer. They really, really do work. Jamie, I saw some pictures yesterday.
Oh, you did?
You did it again.
Oops.
We need to take the directions out of that place, out of your phone, and just not allowed to go there anymore.
Well, I know you're talking about, we adopted a dog from the animal shelter. And so when Chad was gone over the weekend, we went to the animal shelter. I wanted to apply to be a foster. So we get to the Norman Animal Shelter and they only foster super sick dogs or super tiny puppies. They don't let you foster adult dogs.
Really?
And that's kind of what I wanted to do was just but they do have a program where you can take a dog home for the day and give it like a day out, doggy day out. And then you can kind of take it home and see if it gets along, and you can foster fail. So that's what we did. So that's what I wanted to do. But Chad was gone. So Lucas and I just walked around the shelter and we saw this dog and oh my God, he fell in love with this dog. And he took it out. I was just snuggling with him. It was just like, please take me home. Please take me home. But of course, Chad was not home. And if I had taken a dog home, it's been a problem before. So I was like, we have to wait. We have to wait, Lucas. We have to wait. So I was like, and if the dog's not there, come Monday morning, it wasn't meant to be. So we go back to the shelter and the dog is adopted and it's not there. And Lucas, he's a 12-year-old boy. They don't cry very easy, but he started crying. He was so sad. And Chad was with us. And I think Chad started feeling guilty because the Homer and Winks are mine and Danny is his. So he wanted his own dog. And I'm like, Chad, he just wants his own dog. And we have a dog who's 12 and a dog with lymphoma. Let's beef up the herd. Let's do it,
So you have 3 now. This is 4?
This would be 4, yeah. And we've kind of always had 4 dogs, which Chad is like, oh, thank God we only have 3 and let's get another one. But the dog wasn't there and he was just utterly heartbroken. And I think it kind of hurt Chad's heart a little bit. And so we walked around the shelter and there was really nothing else that he connected with. And Chad's like, why don't we go to Moore and look in their shelter? It's like 10 miles away. I was like, who are you? Are you cheating on me? Why are you complying to this? So we get in the car and we drive to Moore. And it was like, we start walking around and it's like junkyard dog, junkyard dog, junkyard dog. And we go through, there's four
Not that there's anything wrong with junkyard dogs.
I already have 2 junkyard dogs. Okay. But I would not, and we took out a bunch of kind of junkyard puppies, and when I say junkyard, that just means they're kind of mongrel mixed breeds. There was a Rottweiler who was trying to attack us, and there's pit bulls, and then there's just mixes of that you would see in junkyard. No offense, I own 2 of them. I can say that. So we get her all the way around, and the very last place we went, the very last little cage enclosure is this freaking ridiculously beautiful Border Collie or Australian Shepherd. I don't know what it
tell.
is.
It must be a mix of that somehow.
I don't know what it is. We'll have to do the DNA test on it like we did for Winx, because I don't know what it is. And I'm like, the adorable. And the guy who's working there, I'm like, what can you tell me about this dog? And he like, I think it's like a year old, and I was
Which
like,
means it's 10.
I was like, Chad, this guy is on work release. He does not like he does not know anything about dogs. Like, let's stop asking him. Turns out the dog was part of a case of neglect. And so there was a pile of them came from the same place. I guess the police kept going out there and giving them fines. And finally, this last time, the owners just go, take them all, and surrendered all of them. Now, this dog is a big, fluffy Australian Shepherd Border Collie something. I don't know what it is, but if you feel her body, she is a skeleton.
Oh, yeah. She doesn't look that way with all the hair.
No,
she's brown
but
and white, too, right? Brown and white one?
Brown and white, sable and white, Border Collie, like beautiful. So we take her out and play with her, and Chad's like, that is an awesome dog. I'm like, they're so smart. And Lucas was like, let's get her. And then so now we have this giant, super fluffy, emaciated, crazy high energy dog. Is so excited to be here.
Housebroke, I hope.
No, no. This is she's fine in the yard. So I think she was just left out in a yard and like not fed. Yeah.
Doghouse or a post.
So she's very happy to see us. She's so excited to see us. And so we're taking her on walks every night, trying to teach her how to walk on a leash. She wants to murder all the chickens. Horses are the most exciting adventure she's ever seen. So this dog is going to hopefully work out. It's a dog that's never had a boundary, So, and Lucas loves her, and so I'm hoping it works out.
Lucas is a teenager, though. So how long is it going to take where this dog becomes your dog?
No. I am very hands-off. I am helping him with the obedience portion of it, but he's feeding her. He's giving her cookies. I am very hands-off. Like, you need to do this, but she's also not easy because she is like flying a kite.
Maybe she is only a year, huh?
Yeah, she has very young looking teeth. She could be between 1 and 2 is what they said. But yeah, she's a lot of dogs. So, but I mean, dogs like that don't do well in kennels.
Well, and they also need a family that has other dogs and, space.
Yeah. And so she's running around now. The only issue that I've seen so far, and if anybody's a dog trainer, is she was starving. So the food aggression is kind of like what we're going to have to deal with, because my pack, the 3 I have are perfect together. I had to leave a bowl out. So we're kind of dealing with a little bit of that. Going to deal with a little bit of the psychotic, I have to chase all the ducks and chickens and like I want to kill everything, and there's a horse, I need to go underneath it, kind of thing. So we got a lot of work to do, and I hope it works out. But if it's I want Lucas to have a positive experience, and if it's constant fighting with the dogs fighting and then us fighting the dog and all this, I'm doing just know that I'm going to do my very best, and he is going to do his very best. But it is definitely not the connection he had with that initial one that got adopted, and he's mentioned that a few times. So hopefully it works out. I'm hoping. But
as our parents would say, it's a growth experience for Lucas.
Yeah. It's a growth experience. And I mentioned, I was like, well, if she's not working
anything
out,
that sucks, they say is a growth experience.
It's building character, is what my dad said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I was like, if it doesn't work out, if you don't love her, we can take her back. You have 10 days to return them, and we can pick out another one. And then he started crying, thinking, I can't take her back. We can't take her back.
She was mighty happy to be in his lap in that picture.
Oh, she loves it. And that's the thing is if we both sit there and call her, because he named her Zelda, like the video game.
Oh, yeah.
If we both call her, she runs right to him. So, I mean, that just melts his heart too. So hopefully it works out. Again, it's going to be a lot. I know we have dog trainers that listen. So any help or suggestions you guys have, I mean, I've certainly trained dogs to be around chickens and ducks, but never one that was like on an 11 all the time. So we'll see how we can do. We'll see.
You're lucky that we've run out of time to talk about the chicken that you adopted too. So you're just lucky we've run out of time.
Leave him at the shelter. Glenn There was a little rooster in the shelter.
Time to learn why some days you're embarrassed to be part of the human race. In Jamie's
By the way,
Weird News.
I put him in with the hens, and he's like a third the size of the hens, and he's so scared of them. These big old bitties.
You cannot go anywhere without getting a chicken.
Chad's like, how much did that cost? Did they give it to you? And I was like, yeah. They just gave
For
it
a
to
small
me.
adoption fee of $100.
I won't ever tell.
There's our first weird news story of the day right there.
Somebody adopted it. Why was there a chicken at the dog pound?
Yeah, anyway, that's a good question,
I had to
too.
take it. Anyway, all right. So weird news is a part of the week where we talk about stories that happen that
this
are
whole show has been weird news.
It's true. It's true.
Screwworms.
I haven't even had coffee today.
Screwworms, chickens, crazy dogs,
firemen.
You in a fire truck with hot firemen.
Oh God, it's so true too, and that's a thing. Oh my God, I was like, when I was making the video, I tried to film the woman that was in the truck with him. I'm not just riding around with men.
All right, back on track. Weird news.
Back on track. I would like to think, if you're ever looking through the news and you are like reading a story and you're like, ooh, that's super weird, email it to weirdnews@horseradionetwork.com. Just like Janelle, Delia, Laureen, Michelle, Carrie, Tiana, Jolyn, Jenny, Shelly, and Melissa all did this week. So thank you guys for sharing. The first one, we're going to go to Texas, College Station, Texas, because this guy was doing God's work, Glenn, because he saw a guy in a ice cream truck, and the guy was, selling ice cream. And anytime you see guys in an ice cream truck, what is your thought? Like, that guy is probably a pred.
Yes, weird, creepy person. Yeah. The older the truck, the worse you think, too.
Yeah, it could be a predator. So this Good Samaritan, his name is Michael Valadez. He's 42 years old, and he was at the intersection of West Ridge and Antelope Lane when he noticed that the ice cream truck driver was getting phone numbers from the kids and like sharing his phone number and contact information. So he just acted, and he went into that ice cream truck and started punching over and over the ice cream truck driver.
Jeez.
Ice cream truck, just bam, pummeling. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. And so somebody calls the police. Police come. Do you know what the ice cream truck driver was doing?
No.
People pay for their treats with Cash App and Apple Pay.
Oh, God.
We had to give his Apple
I didn't even
Pay
think about that.
Gone are the days of, Mom, I need 50 cents. Ice cream truck's here.
Yeah, the guy might wanted to just ask what he was doing before he beat him up.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Bless his heart. The police actually found Michael Valadez's car had weapons in it. The ice cream truck drive operator had not engaged in any appropriate or illegal behavior, just got his butt kicked by this guy who was later charged with robbery because he he stole some stuff out of the truck too, started ripping stuff off, was charged with robbery and unlawful possession of a firearm and, of course, assault. So that guy's in jail.
Poor kids who are watching their ice cream truck guy who they've probably been to 100 times get beat up.
Yeah, just get hammered. Just get hammered. Oh, poor guy. He was just getting Apple Pay, like giving out
And
his
how
Venmo.
much money can you make selling ice cream out of a truck? I mean, that poor guy's making less than a minimum wage. Jeez.
Not enough. Oh, good Lord. Okay, well, we're going to go to Detroit because Daryl Thomas passed away, and his funeral service was held last Friday. He was a man that was known for giving back to his community, and he owned a car wash in the city, and he was very popular with all the people. So when he passed away, he wanted to have a helicopter flown over the service and drop rose petals out of the helicopter. So
that's specific.
It gets better. So he had the FAA and police and everybody knew that this was going to happen. This was not like some weird thing where all of a sudden stuff started flying out of hell, like turkeys, So anybody who went to the funeral, listen, let me just tell you guys, if some rich dude dies and you knew him, go to his funeral, because what Daryl Thomas didn't tell the police was that along with the rose petal, he would be dropping money, cash, bills, dollar bills, y'all. He decided he wanted to give back to the community who attended his funeral, and he dropped a ton of money from the helicopter onto everybody at his service. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Do we know how much it was?
They don't know, but apparently Crystal Perry, Thomas's niece, said that she knew about it and nobody knew about it except for the helicopter pilot and the guy in the back who threw the money out and the niece. And nobody told anybody. So if you went to that funeral, you got money.
Okay, how many people got beat up trying to get all the money?
I know, right? Like, and I'm looking. There's a video.
Last story.
Somebody took a video of it, and there is. I mean, it's a lot. I don't know if they're dollars or tens or hundreds. It looks like it's raining. Like it's crazy. There was a massive amount of money that was thrown out of this helicopter. Weird news.
Either that, or he just wanted everybody to beat each other up at this funeral and thought that'd be fun.
One last fight.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Missouri this time, Webb City to be specific, because you guys, like, lock your doors. Even if you have security cameras, lock your doors at night. Okay. Now, reading this news story, I realized that I have more questions and they don't even involve the burglary. Okay. So we're going to go Seth and Addison Wilson. Say they learned a valuable lesson to lock their doors in the middle of the night because they were woken at 2 a.m. by their dogs barking. Addison, who I'm assuming is the woman, got up to check their house. What the hell was Seth doing? Seth, you're the man. You're supposed to go check. So Addison gets up to go check the security cameras, and that's when she saw a man outside tampering with the security cameras and trying to enter their garage. She immediately called 911. While on the phone with the dispatchers, Addison confronted Anderson, who had already come into the house. Where was Seth? I'd be like, honey, did you lock the doors? Somebody's trying to get in the house. Your job is to go lock the freaking doors. This is what frustrated me about this story. Where was Seth? A hashtag, where was Seth? Okay. Like he's not in this story at all. Did he sleep through this whole thing? It would have been hard to sleep through. And let me tell you why. Because this man broke into their house and started walking around naked, completely naked.
Why is they always naked in the middle of the night walking around these houses?
Why was he naked?
They're always naked.
He walks in the house completely naked and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, do you mind closing that door? Because I don't have any clothes on. And she's like, get out of my house. And so he runs out of the house. But the police are already on the way, and police find him, and they find him naked in the yard next door. And they're like, police, freeze. And he takes his baseball cap off and covers his wiener. And he's like, puts his other hand up. They're like, what are you doing? And so the police put him in the car, and then they walk around and they find a pair of sweatpants, like in her yard. And they held it up and they're like, are these your pants? And he's like, yes. There's my pants. This is weird news, you guys. I promise weird news. This is weird. And so the police put their hands in the pockets. And of course, what do they pull out? Meth.
Yeah, drugs are bad. And usually when they find the naked guy in the house, he's gone to the kitchen and is eating something out of the fridge.
Wait till the next story. Let me finish this one. Okay, so they find meth and fentanyl, and so they've got the sweatpants, and he's like, those are my sweatpants. And they pull out the drugs, and he's like, oh, those aren't mine.
Yeah, never mind. Somebody must have put those in there.
Those are mine. I don't know how those got into my pants that I took off in those people's yard. Anyway, he went to jail.
Yeah.
The Wilsons do say that the experience really opened their eyes, and they really should start locking their doors.
Yeah, really should.
I would be leaving Seth, divorced. See ya, Seth. You're a big wuss. Made the woman do all the work. I'm sorry. Like, I'll be like, I'm going to lay in bed with the baseball bat. You go check it out. And if he gets by you and comes to me, then I'll end him. Good luck. Well, we have to end in our favorite state in the United States, Glenn. Where would that be?
Oklahoma.
No.
Florida.
Guess again. We're going to Florida in Polk County. Do you know where Polk County is?
I'll look it up.
Okay, so this family is not at home. They're out of town. They're on like summer break.
Oh, Legoland's in Polk County. That's down by Tampa.
Okay, well, this family must have been at Legoland, and they had asked their neighbor to keep an eye on their house. And so the neighbor spotted lights going on and off the house one night, which is not supposed to happen because this is why you be friends with your neighbors and let them know you're out of town. And so he called the sheriff's department, not for a guy who passed out from giving blood. He saw lights in his neighbor's house, and they called 911, and the deputies responded to the home. And they walked into the home, and they found a man identified only as Joe. Okay. Joe was cooking himself dinner in the kitchen and was drawing himself a bath in the bathroom, which is why he was what? Naked.
Of course. Of course. They're always cooking naked.
So the police are like, what are you doing here? And he's like, yeah, he admitted he did not have permission to be there. And he also had no idea who owned the house. He just broke in, decided he needed a bubble bath and some dinner. And so he started cooking himself dinner after getting naked while running the bath. So they're like, why are you here?
He had a reason to be naked.
Well, okay. So Joe explained that he'd gotten into a fight with his wife and didn't want to go home. So he just went to somebody else's home instead. That's what he said.
Haven't we all been there?
So the sheriff now, here's the problem is they have to arrest him and he's naked. They don't have his clothes. He can't find his clothes. And so the sheriff's office posted, like, it's one of those things where you just have to grin and bear it and put these people in your car.
Oh, God.
No additional information has been provided, but what do you tell your neighbor when they get home? Like, do you call them on vacation? Like, hey, just so you know, there's a naked guy that was cooking dinner and running a bath. Or do you just like let it go and tell them when they got home? Or do you just keep it a secret? What do you do? I don't know.
You know, there's some poor schmuck's job that it is to clean out the back of sheriff's cars when they come in at night. Ugh,
yeah.
That's a terrible
disinfect
job.
that. Oh,
on that thought. So we've had that. We've had screwworms. We've had all kinds of fun stuff on the show today. You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome.
The comments, by the way, of course, are as funny as you hope. But I did appreciate the person said, been said before and will be said again. Florida is as Florida does.
We have a reputation and we live up to it. There's a reason Iran said they wanted to attack us first.
Oh, I did hear something that said it was a comedian and he was talking about Florida and he was like, you know, I mean, yes, Florida's weird, but there's 23 million people that live in Florida, you know, and I don't think that you should hold Florida accountable, 23 million people accountable for the mistakes and actions of 22 million.
On that note, have a good...
Spay, neuter, kill. Bye, everybody.
Hang on, auditors. You're going to meet a fellow auditor in the post show.